get into the next film which we're going to talk about, and that is 7500. It's a 2019 thriller directed by this guy called Patrick Bolrath, who some guy who Munna Jazbati and I made fun of, and then we realized he's actually Oscar winner. Okay? So this guy, he's actually an Oscar winner, or actually an Oscar nominee for Everything Will Be Okay, which is a short film which he has made, and this is his feature film debut, and it's an international co-production, and it shows because this entire film, it has four actors in it, one of them being Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and the premise is there is a flight which is going from Paris to from Berlin to
Berlin
Paris,
to Paris.
from Berlin to Paris, and the flight is hijacked, and the entire movie is shot within that cockpit. Within the first 10 minutes, it sets up everything, and that I thought was a brilliant move. And for a movie that is straight up 90s B movie, it was surprisingly artistic in the sense like the shot selection and the performances. I mean, the performances obviously are elevated by Joseph Gordon-Levitt and the fantastic writing, and even the guy Omar Memar, I think his name,
The Turkish guy.
the Turkish guy. I think the plot of it is so simple. He had done in yet speaks so much, and speaks so many volumes about the world that we find ourselves in, and how much empathy can take you forward than violence does. I think it was a fantastic watch, and I highly recommend everyone to go ahead and watch it. There are no spoilers for this, but we'll talk on length about 7500, which is streaming on Amazon Prime right now. Anirban, your thoughts?
So forgive me, but I'm not. I wasn't the biggest fan of this movie, and I'll explain why. There are a lot of hijack movies. One of the personal favorites, I think, is Red Eye. I love that movie. But that's not what we're going to touch upon. Why I think is that this movie could have been a lot better. I think that he has come after a very long break. I think the last movie he made was Snowden, Joseph Gordon, and after that he took a pretty long sabbatical. He has been out for almost 2 years or 3 years. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he was trying to write the Sandman. Sandman.
Yeah,
He was
which,
attached to it.
again, not just that. I think he is pretty much involved in his hit record, this hit record project, which I think has taken off pretty well. I think he took it up just as an acting exercise. If you look at the movie, it's pretty similar to what even Ryan Reynolds did in Buried. It's just an acting exercise. He is the only one who is bringing that movie up, but he doesn't have too much to play with. There's not much that you can do with this whole screenplay. The problem with simplistic movies like this is one, there's again not much to play with, so you know how they're going to react and all that. There's no sense of something shock or awe that you would be introduced to, because you know what's going to happen at every point. Of course, it will keep you at the edge of your seat, but you're never going to wonder what's going to happen or how this is going to end in that way. Yes, the twist in that sense was good enough, I'll say. But again, I was not too pleased with the ending. I mean, they left it off at a very, and we'll go back to what we said the previous week was about Staten Island, and we said, "Idhar pe khatam kya?" Perfect, right? So that kind of feeling never came in this movie. I mean, kya ho sakta tha? They could explore more. They should have finished it earlier. I don't know, but it wasn't as satisfactory. Maybe it's because I've been spoiled by the ending of Staten Island, because that was a perfect ending, and Anandam spoke about that pretty perfectly last week, and I didn't get that whole sense of perfectly wrapping up all those loose ends. I mean, that's why I will treat it as one of those projects. Well, it might be a one-time watch, but it will not be something that you will be remembered as one of the movies that Joseph Gordon-Levitt will be remembered for. It will not be. Honestly, one of my favorite Joseph Gordon-Levitt movies is 50-50. I love that. And it's pretty simplistic in that sense. Even that one.
Is it better than Premium Rush though?
It is. For me, it is. Premium Rush is good. It is fast paced. The whole you're comparing two very different movies when you compare it.
No, you said it's you were talking about Joseph Gordon-Levitt movies. So
I think so for me, my personal favorite is 50-50. And Premium Rush is great, but it's not his greatest movie ever. I mean, I don't think it'll even figure into.
His greatest movie, let's just agree, is Dark Knight Rises.
I think
even you don't agree with me on that one.
I think I almost, have a different opinion almost on every topic, on every point that Anir brought up. I thought it was really, really tense. You got like anxiety just listening to the movie because the movie has a budget of $5 million. It is within a 3 by 3 foot cockpit, right? I think that's the dimensions of a cockpit. The entire movie takes place in a very, very cramped space, and I was just amazed by how many different kind of angles they got by just that. And they had a small monitor, they had shards of glass, just a few elements were there. Seatbelts played such an important role. I didn't think seatbelts would be such an important element in a movie, and it was used perfectly. Also, one of the best things that I have seen sound design wise, like this is since Uncut Gems, that sound I have been so front and center of a movie is here. Entire movie, there's someone just knocking at the door. Yeah. And that just ramps you up, like, it plays with your nerves. It has this weird effect that we all get anxious, like immediately whenever we hear knocking. And this is a brilliant decision by the director to use that to great effect. Also, I disagree with the last shot. Also, because you said you were spoiled by Staten Island, I also thought that, like Staten Island, this had very good editing in terms of where they ended the shots and why it was ended there. Because they just didn't want to leave that space. If we saw, what happened to the characters off screen, that would have taken us away from the setting of this movie. Correct. Also, we need to remember that the budget was just $5 million for this movie, which is just like nothing. Since if you take budgets into consideration, what is like Snyder Cut? It's like 20 million, 25 million, right? That's what they're getting. Million. So with $5 million, they have made this fantastic movie. I think most of it is just going to CGI. It's taking place outside. Also, it has two of the most strongest performances you'll see all year. The kid, I think he will go places. He'll get roles like crazy. The 18-year-old hijacker, because that guy has an amazing character arc, like for a movie which is just 80 minutes long. Yeah. You start being sympathetic to him, and then he becomes like a real villain. And the way that Joseph Gordon, he tackles like the emotions. He sees his wife being killed, and everything happens to him during that short period of time. You see that he never loses his composure. There are some parts that he does, but overall, the way that he tackles it, he never loses sense of professionalism, especially, which I really liked over here. It was understated. He didn't overplay whenever he had to show those, emotional high peaks. So I thought this is one of the better acted roles that I've ever seen him in.
I think this is one of his. Even I think this is one of his
strongest roles,
best performances. Yeah, and coming back to the shots, I think the movie opens with an empty cockpit with snow outside, snow or rain, and it ends and the shot lingers. And the only difference is there is that aftermath of a carnage which has happened inside this. And that shot lingers. And I thought that was such a fantastic closed loop. Also, so much can change over like an over. And I also Googled it. Apparently, it takes you 60 minutes to fly to Hanover.
I was just going to say that. It's amazing that how they managed to do the entire movie in real time. Because the movie is exactly, they don't skip over time. They show you exactly what happens during that period of time. I think Buried from Ryan Reynolds did something similar. These bottle movies, they are played to great effect if they're used well. And this director can make really great horror movies. This is a horror movie kind of, because it's one of the worst situations that one person can experience. And
Yeah.
I will be really excited if this guy gets roped into a Blumhouse project somewhere down the line, because
Or an
Blumhouse put
A24.
yeah A24 more for like directors who have some sort of vision. This movie, I think, yeah, a Blumhouse, something like a Blumhouse project would be perfect. Like Invincible Man had a budget of $7 million, and it worked wonders. That movie doesn't look like a $7 million movie, but it's just
Apparently,
brilliant.
apparently, this guy is already a nominee at the Oscars,
Yeah, that's
Academy
what I said.
Awards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this
His
guy,
short film, I think.
short film. Yeah. So this guy is just one of the finds of the year, I think. And I think someone like a Joseph Gordon-Levitt, or even say the guy from the Disaster Artist. What's his name? The guy who does a lot of things.
James
Our boy,
Franco.
James Franco. Someone like a James Franco or Joseph Gordon-Levitt should pick this guy up, for their next projects, because this is a guy who will only go places, And if he gets people like in the 90s it happened. Say you had Luc Besson, right, who made his name in the artsy business, and then he was picked up by Robert De Niro. He made fucking Ronin, and then his career just exploded. So I think someone big from Hollywood should really make a movie with him, so that this guy can also have, if not a similar, probably a better career path than Luc Besson did. He also directed The Fifth Element too. So yeah, excuse me. So I think this is a fantastic little movie. There's little much to talk about apart from the performances, because this is a very performance heavy film. There's nothing else to it, and no amount of words that we can say can actually do justice to how brilliant Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in this film. So all I can say to conclude my part of the review is it comes with my highest recommendation. Please go and watch 7500. It's streaming on Amazon Prime. Anirban, final thoughts.
For me, yes, I can see where you're coming from. I think it just boils down to perspective in this particular case. But one thing we will definitely agree on, that the movie is elevated by this guy's acting, and it is brilliant. There's no doubt. This is a guy who has been underrated in a lot of movies. There was a time where he was becoming more well known, but I think he is definitely one of the more underrated actors in Hollywood, and he should be getting more roles. I think Don John, even Don John was his directorial debut. I think he should. I don't know why he hasn't directed more movies, because that was also a brilliant movie. And so I just spoke about Don John just a while ago, and yeah, this movie you should watch it if not for the other things that these guys have mentioned, just for the brilliant acting that this guy has, performance that this guy has given us in this movie, you should watch this movie.
I think just for a movie, if you want to not a fun time, if you want to get some anxiety watching a movie, and it's short. The best thing about the movie is that it's really really short, about 1 hour and 20 minutes only, and it's even if you go to it as a one-time watch, I think it won't be time that you will waste. This is one movie that I highly recommend also. And interestingly, Paul Dano was supposed to be in this role, but he left due to schedule issues, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt was roped in.